Hey everyone, welcome back to Tell Me. Tonight's story will make you look at your clock a little differently after it ends. But before we begin, remember this. If the clock in your house ever stops all of a sudden, don't look around, because maybe time didn't stop. Maybe she just woke up. This story is real. It happened in the quiet woods of Maine during the winter of 1998. At that time, the Carter family was searching for a fresh start after a rough year. Michael, a hardworking mechanical engineer in his 30s. Laura, gentle, calm, and in love with nature. And their 7-year-old son, Evan, curious, quiet, and always holding his toy airplane. When they saw an ad for an old country house at a shockingly low price, they thought fate was finally on their side. The farmhouse stood at the edge of the forest, 2 stories high, white paint peeling, a cracked wooden porch, and a small yard filled with dry leaves. It looked tired, but inviting. There was something about it, something waiting. Their first night there, the air felt colder than it should have been. Laura laughed as she tucked Evan into bed. "We're gonna need a new heater," she said. Michael smiled. "First month here's gonna be an adventure." The first week passed peacefully until Laura began to notice something strange. Every night, at exactly 3:12 a.m., every single clock in the house stopped. The ticking would fade. Silence. And then, when morning came, the clocks would start again, all on their own. She mentioned it to Michael. He brushed it off, joking. Probably bad wiring, or maybe the house has a magnetic field or something. But deep down, Laura felt uneasy, as if the house itself was breathing around them. Soon, she started hearing faint footsteps above her head at night. Slow, careful, always coming from the attic. But the attic door was sealed, nailed shut from the inside. Then, one evening, she found Evan standing in the hallway, whispering softly. She smiled and asked, "Who are you talking to, honey?" He answered, "Her." "Who's her?" "The lady upstairs. She told me not to wake the clocks." Laura froze. That night, she told Michael, but he just sighed. "He's a kid, Laura. Kids imagine things, but the next stormy night would change everything." Wind slammed against the windows. The old wooden beams creaked under the rain. Michael decided to record whatever was making the sounds upstairs. He placed a small recorder on the top stair near the attic door and left it running through the night. The next morning, he played it back. At first, there was only static, then faintly, the sound of slow footsteps, and then a whisper, a woman's voice, soft, tired. "Michael, Michael, why did you come back?" He stopped the tape immediately, staring at Laura in disbelief. They turned to look at the attic door, the one that had always been sealed shut. Now, it was slightly open. Michael's heart pounded as he climbed the stairs. Inside, the air was thick with dust and the smell of something old, something forgotten. In the darkness, he saw dozens of broken clocks, all frozen at 3:12. A cracked baby crib in the corner, and carved deep into the wooden wall were the words, "Don't let her wake." From that night on, the house was never quiet again. Doors would slam on their own. Windows would lock from the inside. They'd try to leave, but the car wouldn't start. Keys disappeared, and sometimes the phone would ring in the middle of the night. Only silence on the other end, except for breathing. One day, Michael visited the old man who lived down the road. When he asked about the farmhouse, the man's face turned pale. He said quietly, "That house belonged to a woman named Margaret. She lost her baby in that attic." No one knows how. After that night, every clock stopped at 3:12. A week later, at that same time, she took her own life. Laura started having nightmares. The same one, over and over. A woman standing beside their bed, soaked hair covering her face, whispering, "He's awake." And in every dream, the clocks would stop. On their final night in the house, Laura woke up to the same sound, slow footsteps. When she opened her eyes, she saw her. The woman was standing over them, her eyes black and empty, her lips trembling as she whispered, "Thank you for coming back." Laura screamed. Michael grabbed her and ran. They didn't pack, didn't look back. They left everything behind, into the storm, into the night. Days later, when the police entered the house, they found every clock still stopped at 3:12 and Michael's recorder still running. When they pressed play, there was static, then a faint, final whisper, "Thank you for staying." To this day, no one lives in that farmhouse. Locals still call it the house where time stood still.